with all these gotcha games that are doing pretty well, they always sell merch. Most of the time, the merch are pins, buttons, they're like postcards. There's like printouts of the official art that's distributed everywhere. But Wuthering Waves, they've partnered with this company, BEITONG. It's a Chinese developer, I guess. And that makes sense because a lot of these gotcha games are Chinese developed. But this controller they had was freaking sick looking. It's currently sold out, at least this KP50 model. Compared to before, when I was like all about checking out all kinds of peripherals, especially for fighting games, I just want to go through this together. So Yinlin, yeah, she's a cool design character, but because she's like generation one in Wuthering Waves. Exactly. We're gonna get to that, and that's exactly why I wanted to bring it up, because I'm like, no way, that's what's up, right? Because there's the KP50 that they're advertising, and this isn't the only collaborative controller that they've done with Wuthering Waves. Yes, the merch that Wuthering Waves has. Again, if we go to the official Beitong website, I'm not affiliated with any of these people. Like, I wish I was sponsored. Yeah, send me the merch so I can test it out. Like, there's KP20, KP40, KP70. You'll notice, like, none of them have that little screen in the center, right? Even these other Wuthering Waves controllers with Kartethia and Frolova, they don't have that screen. It only seems to be that KP50. First of all, this price point, like, we cannot dismiss that, all right? Like, man, paying that much for a controller. There's like the elite controllers for the Xbox. I don't know if like the PlayStation 5 DualSense has like a super elite one, but like this price point is, I want to say like egregious by gut reaction, but at the same time, it's like not the only ones that have done that. I think there's like a Hori pad, there's a Nacon controller, like I would pay this much for a fight stick, an arcade stick. Like I've done that before, but just for a gamepad itself, I have a hard time justifying that. But the thing that immediately caught your attention, Celestial, is the same thing that I wondered about too. So with this KP51, is this an LED screen? And that's what I can't really tell. Because if we go through these descriptions, again, like Yinlin, cool character, RGB cyber lighting, we go through this, you get a pin of Yinlin too. Yeah, so it's telling us that you switch through the stuff, but I don't know if like you actually get that screen. Is this just concept art? Like, is it really gonna give us this dragon thing here? Like, is it gonna show all of that? Because if it did, that's cool. I don't know if it's worth $190. But is it actually going to play the display of the character? I want to say no way, right? I was thinking that maybe you got to like memorize, like, okay, you push this button and then you got to remember like push it 4 times before it switches between this and that. Yeah, again, the practicality, you're not going to be looking at your controller just like any kind of RGB setup where like you have things lighting up, right? Practicality is low, but just like gimmick wise, like I've never seen a controller like that. And you see these things on the side. I think these are open just to see the rumble feature. Yeah, that too. I just don't know how like the build quality is either. And again, I've never heard of this company before. I've noticed like the build quality on most controllers are having problems these days, right? So if it's not the analog sticks having stick drift, it's an issue with the D-pad. If it's not an issue with the D-pad, it's the bumper sticking. If it's not the bumper sticking, it's like the button sticking. My most preferred controller, PS4 Dual Shock controller, because I enjoy the double analog placements down here. The Xbox style controller setup, and I think the Switch controller setup has like the D-pad and analog switched, and you can see it on the screen there. Like it's that same type of build. I know Kiyobastein has mentioned that there's like responsiveness issues with lag, input delay with the DualShock controller, but I just enjoy how it feels in my hands the best. I've come around to enjoying the Xbox controller because of the D-pad, and a lot of people will say that the D-pad on the Xbox controller is superior for fighting game precision. And I've never had an issue with the D-pad itself. I'm telling you, like somehow the Xbox controller has become my most bought controller because I keep having issues with what I said, the buttons and bumpers up here getting stuck. Luckily for me, I always buy these things on sale. I got a flash deal on Newegg where I've seen this color go on sale often because I guess people think it's fugly. I kind of think it's fugly too, but this like electric volt shock yellow. So I got that controller for 25 bucks, $45 off. That to me, that's the way to do it. I think $25 for an Xbox controller is like the record low. When it's on sale, like maybe 40, maybe $35. I could not imagine playing Spider-Man on keyboard and mouse. But for a lot of these gotcha games, I do know people play keyboard mouse. I know stuff for like the MOBAs like Marvel Rivals. Yeah, it does give you more precision. And for me, when I'm playing, I usually play inverted, but I can understand how when you're playing keyboard mouse, you don't even have to think about that. And you have like faster reactions. Like I have super slow reactions. So, and that I don't play shooters either. I don't know, like with Warframe, if I'll ever get around to doing keyboard and mouse. I was sort of messing with keyboard and mouse with Do It Night Abyss because they didn't have inverted. It tripped me up initially because most of those content creators, when they're making videos for Genshin, I mean, Wuthering Waves fits, they always explain the combos in the keyboard shortcuts. And I'm like, what is E? What is Q? What are they talking about with these skills? But yeah, I thought this was neat. I was going through because I was hoping that Wuthering Waves would have hats. Like every time I'm looking for merch on anything, I want a cap, but they just don't ever do it. Like it seems like the closest clothing apparel that Kuro Games will make for Wuthering Waves is a hoodie. Oh, they made the pillow. These are, is tasteful the right word? Again, they're not super degenerate like they could be. Yeah, this is where we saw that controller. If one day I go to where Kuro Shop is, I'm definitely buying some stuff. Yeah, man, like I wish it was less of this kind of stuff though, you know. I think like postcards and keychains and lanyards, that's like 90% of like most of gotcha merch stuff. Pins, back when I was playing What's Going On Black, we're talking about being irresponsible with our money. Check out this controller though, dude. With the LED in the center. We're assuming, we're hoping it's not false advertising. Dude, if you were a rage gamer, you know, if you got super heated, can you imagine throwing a $190 controller with like the LED display? This image here, I haven't seen this fan art at all. Like again, Lupa in the mix. This has been one criticism on Wuthering Waves. They don't release enough costumes. Lupa looks great.